everyone, this is CVGS, it's Brendan here, together with
Shadow
and
JJ.
So, today we are featuring to you the SD56
Arrival of the Hero
and SD57
Resurrection of the Demon Lord.
Now, I have JJ and Shadow here today because they are the experts in their relative fields for what these two decks are capable of. So Shadow, what do we have in SD56?
So SD56 contains support for Supreme Heroes, which play mainly around the burst mechanic. On the cover, you can also see the nice art of our Lord Dragon Basil 10 himself, the revival version of the card. And inside the trial deck, it also contains the protagonist of our Supreme Heroes season of the Battle Spirits anime, Hinobori Hajime. On the flip side of the box, you can also see the deck list itself. It contains 10 commons, 3 rares, 2 Tensei rares, 1 Master Rare, 1 Tensei X Rare being Lord Dragon Basil himself, 3 X rares, and 1 campaign promo being our Hinobori Hajime. So, without further ado, JJ, what's inside your deck?
Okay, and coming from the Burning Sword era, we have the Heavenly Demon King featuring Dairoku Tenmao, God's X, and a focus on playing multiple colors. So the importance would be on having multiple color symbols on the field. On the front, we have the main spirit, which is the Heavenly Demon King type Heaven. Alright, and at the back here, we have our card list. We have 11 commons, 2 rares, 1 Tensei Rare, 1 Tensei X Rare being the God's X type Heaven and Earth, 3 X rares, 2 double X rares, which is the reprints of the type Destroy and type DN, and 1 campaign promo being our big brother Nobuni himself.
So many players have been waiting for these two mega decks to drop. Of course, they boost support for their respective decks themselves, God's X and Supreme Heroes. It could bring a whole new world of possibilities how we can both build and play the deck. So,
without further ado, let's open up these bad boys and see what's inside. Get over, Kaiho!
And we are back. So this is the content of SD56. So first we can see, of course, they give the soul core and they include cores for you to play. Then we also have a pack of 50 white sleeves. It has a very nice illustration of Lord Dragon Basil on it. A clear, nice white background with a red dragon on it. Then, following that, we also have the Tensei checklists. The checklists are very important for players who do not like to flip their cards manually. You can put this in the main deck and put the actual flipping card somewhere else as a side deck. A thing to note is this time they've made the Tensei checklist foil, which gives the deck some extra bling bling. Then, of course, the main deck itself, the most important part. Here you can see nicely our Lord Dragon Basil 10, nicely illustrated. This is the B side. And I will, without further ado, I'll go into the contents of all the Tensei rares and higher. And we are back. So these are the 6 cards that I'll be introducing to you. We'll start off with the Grand Walker. The Grand Walker is the hero, Hinobori Hajime. He core charges for Supreme Heroes, Great Generals that are cost 3 and higher, and furthermore he also charges for Burst Magic. Now he has the skill, he allows him to treat his symbol as a white symbol, fulfilling both red and white reductions, and he has the Grand skill on level 1 and 2 by sending 4 core from this Grand Walker to the void once per turn. You can ignore the conditions and activate a Supreme Hero or Great General burst. Furthermore, until that burst finishes activating, your opponent cannot activate the effects of cost 5 and or lower Spirit and Nexus effects. Furthermore, he also has a Grand Field for the low requirement of 1 core on level 2. After your burst activates, you can set a new burst from hand. So, being so versatile, allowing you to open your burst ignoring the condition at different timings, and furthermore giving you additional defense by allowing you to set a new burst after your burst has finished activating, gives Hajime a very... he's very essential to the burst deck. I think he's a great Grand Walker and he'll see a lot of play. So moving on to the next card, we have the Sea Dragon Kima Creek. Kima Creek has a on-summon skill that allows him to put 1 core to 2 separate Supreme Hero or Great General family spirits. He also, on his level 1, 2, 3, he has a Tensei effect. If your count is 3 or lower, And when this spirit leaves the field by the opponent, he can flip. So this means if he's bounced, if he's depleted, if he's destroyed, you can flip to the other side. Furthermore, on level 2 and 3, during the opposing turn, your hand is unaffected, and your life can only be decreased by 1 from each opposing spirit. On the B side, he turns into a Nexus, the Ryugu Jo. Nexus only has 1 level, but it also has a double symbol, both a white and a red symbol. The skill is, on level 1, your hand is unaffected by opposing effects. And furthermore, on level 1, after your burst activates, you can put a call from the void to your reserve or a spirit you control. This effect can only activate once per turn. So, this spirit is extremely powerful in my opinion. Being able to call boost to your spirits allows the burst deck to churn out more cards easily. And it also has some great defense. On level 2, it limits each spirit to only damage 1 to your life. And furthermore, it can flip to the other side, which gives you further call boost and makes your hand unaffected, which allows you to play magic if your opponent attempts to lock off cards from your hand. Certainly a very powerful card. Next, we'll move on to the Ruffian Oni Dragon. He has an on-summon skill. On summon, you can destroy your opposing Nexus. If you have a burst set, the effects of the Nexus cannot activate. So, this allows you to destroy Nexuses and don't have to fear the retribution. All the pesky Tensei Nexuses will no longer bother you. Furthermore, on level 1, 2, 3, he has a Tensei. When your cost 5 or higher red or white spirit attacks, or when your own burst activates, this spirit can flip. He also has the level 2 and 3 skill. When this spirit attacks, you can destroy your opposing 5000 or less BP spirit and draw 1 card from your deck. So on the B side, he turns into the Ruffian Warrior Oni Dragon. On level 1, 2, 3, when he tenseis or when he attacks, both conditions, you can destroy opposing 7000 or less opposing spirit. The effects of the destroyed spirit cannot activate, once again denying the on destroy or on leave field attack of the spirit. It's a very powerful effect. And furthermore, he has a level 1, 2, 3 skill Pursuit. By heavy exhausting this spirit, he can attack another time. This card is incredible for offense. And lastly, on level 2, 3, when this spirit attacks, he gets plus 1000 BP and an additional red symbol. So, I think this card can be summed up in one easy word: offense. You destroy things, attack the opponent, and destroy more things. So yeah, a very offensive card, as you could say. So, moving on into the second row, and yes, the star of the deck, the Explosion Hero, Lord Dragon 10. So this card, despite being a Tensei card, is also a burst card. He has the burst condition when your own life is decreased, and when you can open the burst and you can destroy a 12k or less opposing spirit or ultimate. Then you summon him without paying the cost. On level 1, 2, 3, he has a Tensei effect. If your count is 5 or lower, and when this spirit attacks, if you have a burst set, you may flip him. And he has an additional skill on level 2 and 3. When this spirit attacks, you can set a burst card from your hand. If you do, you can draw 2 cards from your deck. On the flip side, he turns into the Explosion Hero, Lord Dragon Basil X. Oh, that's a long name. On level 1, 2, 3, he has an on Tensei on attack skill. You can activate one of your bursts, ignoring the burst condition. If the burst is of the family Supreme Hero or Great General, and is a red and white burst, this burst effect cannot be stopped. After the burst is activated, you can set a burst card from your hand. Yep, that is the whole effect. And he has an additional effect on level 2 and 3. After your burst activates, you can refresh this spirit, and you can send 1 opposing life to the reserve. So, as the ace of the deck, he brings several powerful effects with him. He allows you to draw additional cards by setting burst, which is predominantly what the deck wants to do. Furthermore, he opens your burst ignoring condition, which allows you to, instead of playing burst just defensively, it allows you to bring out your burst offensively as well. And lastly, there's a bonus skill. He also directly reduces the opponent's life through effects and refreshes himself, allowing you to infinitely open burst offensively until he is removed from the board. So next, we move on to the Glacial Hero, Lord Dragon Glazer 10. Lord Dragon Glazer is also a burst with the same life when your life is decreased condition. When your life is decreased, you can return an opposing spirit, one opposing spirit and one opposing ultimate to the bottom of the deck. Furthermore, on level 1, 2, 3, he has Heavy Ultra Armor Infinite. This means that this spirit is unaffected by the effects of opposing spirits with the same color as the symbol color on the opponent's field. Whilst that may be a chunk of text to take in, it simply means that whatever color of symbols the opponent has on your field, he gains that same color of armor. On level 2 and 3, he also has the skill when this spirit attacks or blocks, you can return the opposing spirit to the bottom of the deck. Okay, and lastly, in the deck, we have a very powerful card, the Superhero, Lord Dragon Savior 10. So Lord Dragon Savior is also, surprisingly, a burst, and he also has the condition of when your life is decreased. When this life is decreased, you can summon this spirit without paying the cost. Afterwards, by sending a Lord Dragon named cost 9 and below card from your trash to the bottom of your deck, you can replenish your lives up until 5, taking call from the void. So furthermore, he has a level 2-3 attack skill. During your attack step, when your Supreme Hero spirit is attacking, the opponent must send one of their lives to the trash in order for them to use magic cards or Excel cards from their hand. So, once again, another powerful selection of bursts to add into the deck. He replenishes your lives, he's a big body with a double symbol, and also he denies your opponent access to their magic and Excel unless they pay a hefty price, which is to reduce one of their own lives. Ultimately, the burst deck right now is stacked with many different bursts that allow for both offense and defense seamlessly, and I think we're all very excited to go ahead and test out and play this deck. So without further ado, I will hand it over to JJ, who is going to introduce the God's X deck.
Thanks, Shadow. So in this God's X Mega deck, we have these really nice black sleeves which feature the Heavenly Demon King, God's X, which is my key spirit. Alright, and we also have the Tensei checklist. So as mentioned earlier, they are now foiled, so it's actually pretty nice to feel actually. So this is very important, as mentioned, for anyone who plays the cards and they do not like to keep removing the cards, then you can just use this as replacement and substitute cards in when they play it. Alright, so over here we also have the deck itself. Alright, so the front cover is the Heavenly Demon King God's X Type Heaven, which is the cover page spirit, and it's packed nicely, and you also have this checklist at the back lah. Okay, so without further ado, I will move on to introducing the higher rarity cards, and let's go. Okay, so for some of the notable cards that we have in this deck, we have a total of 5 cards. So starting from the top, we have the very first one, which is the Grand Walker Tenma Nobunaga. So this is in the family Grand Walker Heavenly Demon King. This Grand Walker Nexus will call charge for Heaven Demon King, Evil Shadow, Clever Machine, and it must be cost 3 or higher. Now its level 1-2 skill is that this Nexus symbol is also treated as all other colors. Right? And its grand skill, level 1, level 2, flash during both players' attack step. Once per turn, by sending 2 calls from this Nexus to the void. For every different symbol color you have, send 1 call from 1 opposing spirit to reserve. So essentially this is basically a very purple trade card, but depending on the number of symbols that you have, the effect itself will actually grow incrementally. So by itself, it will actually give you 1 call to remove, but if you have other spirits or multiple colors, then they will actually add on to the count. And then we have the Grand Field. Fulfill one symbol color requirement of your Rokuten Rush or Rokuten Tensei. Alright, so basically it's the key mechanic for the God's X, which is dependent on the number of color symbols that you have. You can trigger certain effects. So a lot of weaknesses that people have with this deck in particular is that they are always either short of one color or two colors to actually fulfill the conditions. So by himself, the Grand Fields effect, right, actually allows him to fulfill an additional color on top of his original symbol. So this is a one nexus for two colors. Yeah, which actually solves a lot of future problems. And moving on to the next card, we have Owari no Sekai. So do not mistake this for the original Owari no Sekai. This is actually a brand new Nexus, which has a Tensei ability. Okay, so this Nexus is from the family origin. It's a level 1 effect, Tensei Rebirth. When I have 3 counters or less, if my spirit with 2 or more colors attacks, or when this Nexus leaves the field by an opposing effect, I may send my soul core to this Nexus and flip it over. So it's a level 1 skill. It's when you summon a card containing the name God's X or Rokuten, this Nexus symbol can also be treated as all other colors. So this Nexus on its own is actually 2 symbols already. And if you need to actually pay the cost reduction for all your other God's X or Rokuten cards in the Mega Deck, this card will actually serve as any color for your reduction, which is, as we said, this focuses a lot on the multicolor playstyle. So a lot of the cards here actually feature the ability to treat itself as a separate color so as to make your summoning conditions easier. Right? And there's another ability on the attack step. When all your spirits containing the name God's X is treated at its highest level. So by summoning multiple God's X, if you need them to be at the highest level when you move into the attack step, this level 1 ability will actually be very, very useful to kick them up to its highest level. So let's move on to the flip side. So this flip side after you Tensei is the Heavenly Demon King God's X type N. So from the family origin and Heaven Demon King. So when this side is flipped, it remains on the field and my counter is at +1. So I add 1 call from the void to my counter area. It's level 1 ability. When this spirit rebirths, send 1 opposing spirit to the bottom of the deck. Then you can activate Rokuten Rush, 6/7 Rush. The condition being 5 colors. If you have 5 symbol colors, this effect will activate after it Tenseis. So when I have 5 or more symbol colors, I get to destroy 5 opposing Grand Walker Nexus not from the family origin. So this is one of the most powerful card effects that you can possibly see for this era of Grand Walkers. So anyone who plays a full Grand Walker deck, beware, this deck will completely crush you. Alright, moving on, Restoration. When this spirit leaves your field through opposing effects, I can reflip this spirit and deploy the Nexus itself. Right, so it actually has a way to protect itself if something happens and it gets removed from the field. You can redeploy it and you can use it for its cost reduction instead. Or if your counters are low enough, you can actually rebirth it on a later turn. Moving on, we have the Heavenly Demon King God's X type Shadow. So this is in the family Evil Shadow. Right, its effect is Heavenly Demon Kagemusha. Right, so when my spirit from the family Heavenly Demon King is targeted by opposing effects, I can summon this card from my hand and change the target for that effect to only this spirit, or change the written opposing to your effect for that effect. So basically it comes out as a substitute. When your Heavenly Demon Kings are actually targeted by a card effect, you can actually summon this card from your hand and use it as a substitute to take on the effect if necessary. So it's level 2 and 3 skill. When this spirit attacks all blocks, I can send 1 call from an opposing spirit to the reserve. And after doing so, I can activate Rokuten Rush with a condition of 3 symbols. When I have 3 or more symbols, I can draw 2 cards from my deck. So this is a very strong engine for recovering the cards in your hand, on top of actually removing calls from your opponents. spirits, making them easier to block. Next, we have one of the newer cards. It's called Queen Oichi from the family Origin, Clever Machine, and Evil Shadow. Now, this card has in fact Flash. During both players' attack step, if I have a spirit or nexus with 6 colors, you can pay 2 costs to summon this card from your hand. Right, so this is actually very good when you have nothing on the field, and if you have maybe Owari no Sekai or Tenma Nobunaga on the field, you can actually summon this card by paying 2 costs. Right? So when this spirit is summoned or attacks, during this turn, treat this spirit's color as colorless and send 2 calls from an opposing field to the reserve. Now this is actually quite important because it says opposing field. It doesn't specify a spirit, so if you need to lower the level of a nexus, for example, you actually can do so. Now when this spirit leaves, this spirit has a level 2 and 3 skill. When this spirit leaves the field through my opponent, I can summon 1 spirit of 6 colors in my trash without paying the cost. So basically for herself, she is basically a magnet for destruction, because in doing so, she will be able to allow you to summon any God Zex from your trash, because as long as it's a 6 color spirit. And lastly, we'll move on to the key cards of this deck. So this is the Heavenly Demon King God Zex type Earth from the family Heaven Demon King. So this card's continuous effect will be that this spirit's name is also counted as Heavenly Demon King God Zex. Then it's a level 1, 2, 3 skill. This spirit is unaffected by opposing spirit or magic effects. And on attack, level 1, 2, 3, when this spirit attacks, destroy 1 opposing burst. And once per turn, refresh this spirit. Right, so this card on attack basically has one of the better effects that I prefer to have, which is removing a set burst, because you never know what will come out from the opposing side if that thing is allowed to remain. Then level 2 and 3, Rokuten Tensei. Alright, if I have 5 counters or less, when this spirit attacks, I may flip this spirit. Then if I have 5 or more symbols, an alternate cost would be to send 1 call from my opponent's life to the trash, then flip this spirit. Alright, so this is actually a very strong finisher effect. If let's say your opponent has one life left and you actually activate this effect, you will actually basically win the game without having to do anything. Yeah, so moving on to the other side. So now this is the cover card spirit, as we all saw earlier. This is a Heavenly Demon King God Zex type Heaven from the family Heaven Demon King. So its effect is when this side is flipped up, it remains on the field and my counter has a +1. Right. When this spirit rebirths or attacks, I send 3 calls from opposing spirits or ultimates to the trash. Then activate Rokuten Rush, 5 or more colors. When I have 5 or more symbols, this effect cannot be guarded by opposing effects. So this basically bypasses protection for most parts, and a very key point about this is that it sends calls to the trash rather than to the reserve. So it prevents your opponent from actually using those calls for magic or any other cards they could pull out from their hands. Right? Then this level 1, 2, 3 skill. This spirit is unaffected by opposing spirit or magic effects. And Rokuten Rush, 6 symbols. When I have 6 symbol colors, my spirits cannot be blocked. So this is one of the main features of this deck, is when you have 6 colors, you essentially have the highest output that you could have with this deck. Any spirit that attacks cannot be stopped. This will actually be very useful with one of the reprints, the Heavenly Demon King God Zex type DN, where it's a 6 color, where it's a Rokuten Rush, is basically it gives all my attacking spirits 6 symbols. So when that happens, when you have these 2 on the field, it's pretty much a done game for your opponent. And with that, I've actually covered all the key cards from this set. I hope that this actually sheds some light to how Rokuten Rush in its essence has actually been boosted in this SD, and we can look forward to seeing more shenanigans as we move on.
Wow, hearing these opinions from Shadow and JJ really makes me want to build them for myself. If you do like what we see, slam that like and subscribe button. and ring-a-ding that bell to get the latest notifications for our latest videos. You can also follow us on our socials like Facebook,
Insta,
Twitter,
and our Discord. Link in the description below, where me and the guys will be there on most nights talking about games in general and many more. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you soon in the next one. Jane!